mode.
Okay, we'll call a meeting of the Middletown Police Commission to order. Roll call.
Present is Mayor DeStefano, Commissioner Rodriguez, Commissioner Vignola, Commissioner Sullivan, and Commissioner Mills, and myself, Chief Iwanchu, as the Secretary to the Commission.
All right, Chief, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Our January meeting, we did push it off a week due to a scheduling conflict. So I appreciate your support in moving the meeting by a week. Just getting into our agenda this evening. Communications, I did forward the Commission 2 separate press releases since our last meeting. One pertained to a shots fired call on Wickham Avenue, or there was actually 2 in that report, and then an assault that occurred on Sproat Street. I also forwarded the Commission a copy of our repeat offenders. We've been doing that quarterly, and this last one had for the year as a whole. Would the Commission like to discuss any of those in detail?
Yeah, Chief, I think I'm going to go into detail during my State of the City in February on that. So
Very good.
if we could hold off discussion on that until
Perfect.
the March meeting.
Moving into some old business, last meeting I went over with the Commission our Lexipol policy schedule, how we built it. I know I've been filling the Commission in throughout the last year on the process. It was a extensive process to build out our new policies, but I'm very happy with them. And the schedule that we put out for the Commission is, I know it's a very abundant schedule. There's a lot to it, and I know it's a lot of work for the Commission, but I definitely appreciate your support in that. I do have a slight change to go over with you on that. I did leave a piece of paper on each of your desks with a priority schedule. And what this basically pertains to is we have a grant opportunity through PERMA, which is our workers' comp insurance company that the city utilizes, that they will pay a portion of the yearly fee associated with this program as long as we meet their criteria. And to meet their criteria, we have to get these specific policies implemented within a year from when we started. So if the Commission is okay with it, in addition to the schedule that we already have in place, that we would begin reviewing section 1, 2, and 3 for the February meeting. If we could add these additional 10 policies to that, and I know it is a lot of work, but that would definitely help us, 1, move forward, but 2, stay in line to be able to receive that funding from PERMA on that grant process, which will definitely be helpful going forward.
So this is additional training, Chief? Or expansion of existing training?
This is policies. So these policies, like the seatbelt policy, PERMA wants to make sure that we have that in place through the Lexipol
Right,
program.
but how do the fact that we adopt the policy, does it require training or anything on it?
Some will, but most of these are standard
It's readable?
policies.
Okay.
They're policies that have already been in place with the organization. They've just been updated
Modified
through
a
the
little bit?
Lexipol policy,
Okay.
yes,
I
made
gotcha.
more current. Would that be doable with the Commission? Is that feasible? I appreciate that. And as I mentioned in the last meeting, anything I could do to help through the process, if there's any issue with the thumb drive, navigating through any of that, please let me know. If anybody would like hard copies, I could provide hard copies if it's easier for anyone as well. So later in this meeting, we have on the agenda to actually review and discuss the 3 items pertaining to Lexipol, which would be the Chief's preface, Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, and the mission statement. And I do have that in the agenda for a little bit later. And then just as a reminder for the February meeting in regards to the Lexipol policies, we'd be looking to review and discuss and hopefully adopt all of Chapter 1, which is policies 100 through 104, all of Chapter 2, which is policies 200 through 208, and part of Chapter 3, which is policies 300 through 320. So in addition to those, it would be this priority schedule as well for the February meeting, or as much of it as we can get through. Everybody's good with that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. Moving into new business. I did also forward the Commission the minutes from the December meeting for your review. Would anyone like to discuss the minutes from the December meeting? If there's no discussion, no omissions or errors, if I could have a motion to accept them as written.
So moved.
Mayor, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Appreciate it. Thank you. In regards to our monthly statistics, I did forward the commission a copy of the December monthly report. I'm just going to highlight some of the statistics from that report. For the month of December, the department handled 2,459 calls for service, which was a 10% decrease in call volume in comparison to November, which we handled 2,729 calls. Our Part 1 crimes for the month of December, we had 39 Part 1 crimes, what would be categorized as Part 1 crimes. Out of those 39, 6 fell in the violent category, 33 in the property. In comparison to November, we had 52, so we did see a decrease there in the last month of the year. Part 2 crimes for the month, we had 90 in comparison to 106 in November. So again, we saw a decrease there. Arrests for the month of December, the department made 135, which was a 23% decrease from the previous month of 176. Traffic tickets, we issued 271 for the month of December, which was a 5% decrease in comparison to 286 for the previous month. Parking tickets, 825, and which was a 110% increase over the previous month of 392, and that's directly related to the fact that overnight parking took effect on December 1st. Any questions with those statistics for the month of December?
Yeah, Joe, I just want to point out that on the repeat offenders also, that the governor is now talking about bail reform, reforming the bail reform.
Okay.
And I think our statistics have indicated that repeat offenders have been a chronic problem for us.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's why I like to share that with the commission to show that we are dealing with the same people
Yeah,
on a
we're
regular
dealing with,
basis.
it's like a rotating, what do they call it, a revolving door type of thing. So, like I said, I'll be getting into that specifically in my state of the city, but it does look like there is, I see the governor also reinforced yesterday that her commitment to doing this. We don't know how far, though. We don't have any details on any of that yet.
Well, I would appreciate any support that
Yeah.
she could give us
Yeah.
collectively as law enforcement, as we're feeling, as you're saying, Mayor, we're feeling the impacts.
Our numbers are moving, and they're moving because if I recall last week, you told me that we arrested the same woman 5 times,
Just last week, yes.
just 1 week. That's horrible.
Oh, excuse me, and along in those same lines, I mean, how often are the repeat offenders have mental health issues? Or is that a statistic that we don't know?
I personally don't have a statistic to give you accurate information on. I do know that some of them do have mental health, some of them do have substance abuse, but I can't give you a specific to that. That would be something I'd have to really drill into to give you that exact number.
Thank you.
And I think part of the whole bail reform idea is it doesn't add funding for those other services. Like the woman that was arrested 5 times, we know has problems.
Yes.
And but they're just, we make an arrest, and whether it's, and I don't know in her specific circumstances, but we make an arrest for maybe taking something out of a car. Next day, she's trying to get in somebody's house at midnight, and that type of situation. And you can obviously see that there is a mental health issue there, but when they're referred for a mental health evaluation, it's usually like a revolving door also, right?
That is, because that's another part of the criminal justice system, or the equation that is not properly functioning as it should. The individual that the mayor is referencing, I actually called that care provider today, spoke with someone, had the conversation about what we're experiencing, saying this is not the solution. We need more assistance from you. She told me that her manager will be calling me to discuss it in more detail, because arresting isn't always going to get us through this. So, but we need the support from our partners that are out there as well.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Just following up on some of the statistics, for the month of December, we had 8 incidents that resulted in some type of use of force, which equates to 6% of the total arrests for the month. Would the commission like to discuss the statistics any further, or in any further detail?
No.
And as, like, that report that is provided to you has a lot more statistics in that as well. Like, I just kind of hit the highlights. Moving forward, for the month of December, the department handled 3 shots fired calls. 1 was confirmed and 2 were unfounded. We also, year-to-date, since July, when the ERPO requirements went into effect, we've actually applied for 34 separate ERPOs, which are the Extreme Risk Protection Orders, or the red flag laws. So we continue to take that seriously and apply for them when it meets the standards. Looking at our staffing, we still currently have 2 vacancies. We have 70 sworn personnel on our books today, budgeted for 72. Out of those 70 I have, 1 is on disability, and 3 are brand-new hires, so I appreciate the support of the commission in hiring both in November and December. The 3 individuals that were hired began their careers with us on January 9th. All of them are certified, as the commission knows, and they're into field training. So I'm very excited, seem to be fitting in so far, so I definitely appreciate the support there. To help fill those other vacancies, I am working, or not I myself, but the detectives are working on several backgrounds to also include some part-time dispatcher backgrounds, because we do have some vacancies there. We're trying to get some people that have some experience in other organizations that are looking for some additional part-time work. So we're working on those. The Police Academy graduation is scheduled for February 3rd. We do not have anyone in the Police Academy this round. However, the graduation will still be February 3rd for the other municipalities that have it. It'll be right here at the Paramount Theater, 10 a.m. And the next Police Academy class has been moved. It was originally going to be March. It is now moved to May 22nd will be the beginning of it, due to the fact that on the county level, their civil service police officer exam, the results are not out and certified yet. So they don't have a current or active list to pull from. So they need a little bit more time.
It'll be a hot one.
Hopefully.
It's good.
Since our last meeting, and I had briefly discussed, I don't know if it was November or December, about we ended the crime suppression team and the traffic car due to staffing and vacations, training, scheduling, and whatnot. So January, we have a little bit more resources, have the vacations to deal with. So I do have the crime suppression team back out, and that's also to help us combat some of the uptick in crime that we've had. So currently right now I have Officer Giovanelio and Officer Langford. They went into that unit effective January 12th. They're focused on hotspot policing and following up on leads and doing anything else that's directly related to any of the active crimes that we're working on to try to garner information, deter, and whatnot. Additionally, I have Officer Barnes. He went into the traffic detail effective January 16th, and his focus is, again, hot spots, high traffic areas, areas of high volume complaints, high motor vehicle accidents, to try to curb some of that behavior. And as you see with our stats for traffic tickets last year, we had quite an increase, so we're hoping to continue that trend to improve the traffic safety for the community. Some of the trainings are actually the trainings that our department participated in since our last meeting. Members attended improving annual performance evaluations. They attended these are the titles of the classes. Currently running the we are currently running the first of our quarterly firearms training, as well as our biannual reality-based training for the department. Department 4 times a year goes through firearms training, twice a year goes through reality-based training. Very great programs. They're running right now. Members attended the Family Reunification Center seminar, breath analysis operator course, fraud detection and remediation, drug unit supervisors, which is strategies for managing narcotics unit personnel and operations. And Lieutenant Hargett began the FBI National Academy on January 9th. And he's super excited to be there. He keeps in touch with us and shares with us his experience. And I hope when he gets back, I'll get him before the commission so he could share his experience to the commission and let you know how important it was, not just to him, but the program itself. Some of the community events that we've participated in since our last meeting is we had a Too Good for Drugs graduation at Presidential Park on January 13th for the 5th graders. We were supposed to have another one the other day, but because of the snow, it was postponed. This next item is a new program. This is the first time it's running, and we just had our first graduation. It's called Too Good for Violence program. Running that in the 7th grade in the middle schools. So we just had the first graduation at Twin Towers on January 23rd. And I just want to recognize Officer Galley, who's assigned to do the Too Good for Drugs program or the DARE program. She took the initiative to implement the Too Good for Violence program, and she's really taken the drive. She's the driving force behind it. So I definitely appreciate that, and I think it's good to stay in the schools and try to connect with some of our other youth. Next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday, January 31st, we'll be participating along with Recreation and Parks Department in Cops and Cocoa event, which is an ice skating event right here at the new skate park. So we're looking forward to that. I was challenged to go out and do some figure skating, but I could tell you I cannot do that. So I hate to disappoint anybody, but I'm not going to be out there doing that.
Mayor can.
I can.
He wasn't challenged, though. But if you would like to, it would definitely
No, thank
bring
you.
some entertainment for us.
We'll break the ice. I mean,
When you fall at 20 is different from when you fall at 65.
I agree. Well, I'm not to 65 yet, but
Well,
I still agree.
I am in a few months.
I have a couple cases that I'd just like to
You're
highlight
there.
for the commission, just some of the work that the officers have been doing. Some of them have garnered some of the attention of the media, some you're aware of. On January 3rd, incident originates in the traffic circle as a road rage incident. Through the investigation of the officers get involved, it ends up being a male and a female, two separate cars. The female ends up being the victim, male suspect who ends up being our defendant as well. Starts off as a road rage incident because he didn't like the way she was driving. One thing leads to another. She pulls over, he pulls over next to her, gets out, starts pounding on the car, threatening her, calling her very derogatory names due to her race. She contacted us. We were able to follow up, do an investigation. We actually charged him with a hate crime of menacing. She was extremely happy that we were able to, one, locate him and follow through with the charges. Something simple as someone didn't like the way they were driving ends up into that type of an incident. On January 4th, this is I don't even know what to say with this case. It starts off as a runaway, reported as a runaway, and then shortly thereafter we get a couple calls in the area of a young individual stealing items from the local stores. So officers are following up on this, and then at the end, what they figure out is the 12-year-old male runaway juvenile, he leaves the house intentionally because he's basically being abused by his caregiver, which is his aunt. He ends up running away, stopping at the first store he comes to, stealing food because he's hungry, and continuing running. They end up tracking him all the way to the Park Circle area. The lieutenant working the desk sees him get into a car, immediately tells the officers, I believe he just got into a car. They stop the car on Wisner Avenue. Interview two male occupants, the young man sitting in the back seat. They don't know each other at all. They say, and it's all confirmed by all parties, the juvenile asks them for a ride. They say, yeah, we'll give you a ride. Throws them in the car. They're going to drive them to a location that the juvenile requested. They get stopped by our police. As they're interviewing them, the officers see a handgun in the car on the floor. So two things come out of this. We arrest the two drivers that had nothing to do with this individual, just giving him a ride, being good Samaritans for having an illegal handgun. And then the young man, as they start interviewing him and finding out what's going on, led to the arrest of his aunt for the endangerment of that child. Pretty horrific, but something so simple as a simple runaway. It wasn't just running away. He was trying to, get his safety.
thank God for the technology, too.
Yeah. And I think the
cameras.
officers did a great job of looking beyond the initial just runaway report and realizing, hey, there's more to this. And, just a lot of things came out of one simple call. July 7th, we had a fairly serious assault at 80 Sproat Street. Just in sum and substance, basically there's a group of people hanging out in an apartment there, partying, doing what they're doing. At some point, some of them leave a male and a female behind. They're to some level of intoxication. The male tries to make a sexual advance on the female. She does not want it. He pursues. She tries to leave, going through a window. He drags her back, is being very physical with her, assaults her, this, that, and the other thing. She ends up stabbing him multiple times, ending up stabbing him and causing very serious injuries. He ends up being flown to Westchester Medical Center. But through the investigation right now, both of them were charged. But through the investigation, it appears like she was probably defending herself, but we'll let the courts sort that out on her behalf. On January 10th, 7 Watkins Avenue, this is one that I did forward a summary to the commission. This is the situation in which we assisted the state police with the warrant check, and the subject of that warrant check ended up committing suicide in front of the officers. Definitely, I give a lot of credit to the officers. They remained calm, stayed within the training, and, made sure everybody was safe that evening. January 15th, this is an interesting one as well. This came in as a robbery. It ends up not being a robbery, but 7:56 p.m. skate park. We're notified by a male subject that he reported it as a robbery, but when we actually investigate it, we realize it's not a robbery. He says he's out there skating by himself. He's approached he describes as a group of 12 individuals who basically, in his words, come to attack him, harass him, and he leaves, takes off running, goes to his house, calls us. The officers are investigating it. They go back after they talk to this victim, go back to the skate park, and the vehicle that the gentleman describes and a group of kids are still there. So as the officer approaches them, a handful of the kids take off running. The officer radios. Another officer scoops up those 3, brings them back. We end up with 6 kids all together there. One thing leads to another. They are the people involved in the original call, all young, from the ages of 13 to 17. They're out there hanging out, up to no good. They actually tell us, or we put the pieces together because not everybody told us the exact truth, but they came up and conspired this story to go and harass the individual that was skating in an effort to cause a confrontation. So that's what they do. They go out, they approach him on the skating park, create this situation. He ends up taking off running. But the most alarming thing is when the officers are dealing with the young individuals in the car and around the car, one of them has a BB pellet gun in his pocket that looks just like a real gun, and one has a large kitchen-style knife in the sleeve of his jacket. So their intentions were not good. Thank God that individual got away. Thank God the officers were able to find them. All 6 of them have been charged through the youth court, so we'll wait to see what actually happens with them. But another good piece of work by the patrol officers. Any thoughts, discussion, comments on any of those? So going back to the Lexipol policy, according to our schedule that we put out the last meeting, this evening we would have the opportunity to discuss, review, and or accept or push back for additional review or amendments of the chief's preface, the law enforcement code of conduct, and the mission statement. These are new. They would be part of our new Lexipol policies. So I do have them with us if the commission would like to discuss them in detail, would like any changes, amendments, thoughts, comments, concerns.
You actually state that it's a work in progress in.
Everything's a work in progress,
In the letter
right?
itself, so.
If you would like to, or if you're happy with them, we could accept them collectively, or if you want to talk about them individually, that is up to the commission.
Good with it, the whole thing. I could batch it all in as one, to be honest.
Anyone want to separate? No. So you need a motion, Chief? Is that what you need?
If there's no discussion, if I could have a motion to accept them as written.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I appreciate the support. And I would imagine moving forward with the policies, it would be very similar. If we want to talk about one specific or details, we could have that discussion, or collectively, or group them, or however we want to do, however the commission would like to do them. That's pretty much everything on my agenda, except for personnel matters, that as long as there's no questions. Eileen, is there anyone online that has questions or comments?
Not at this time.
I just have one question, Chief. On dispatch, we had a pretty big turnout for the test, or not the turnout, sign up for the test?
I'm told 90+ people, which is the most I've seen in my whole career, I believe.
Yeah, good.
Take the test?
Just to take the dispatch exam. I have 2 full-time vacancies right now, and then the part-timers that we were utilizing, they're not very reliable anymore. So that's the backgrounds we're doing are to backfill those part-time positions.
I think you found the place to advertise was on Facebook.
Yes.
You got a hell of a response on Facebook.
We also learned with the police exam, we spent money on advertisement, this, that, and when we did a query of the people that took the exam, like where we spent the money, didn't really get us much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's
we
really
learned
amazing.
going through that.
All right. So you need a motion for executive session, or?
Unless the commission has any other topics or concerns they would like to discuss?
Yeah.
We have one visitor. Any questions?
Just come up to the mic.
Sorry, I'm a slow speaking person. Do you have the annual stats, like for the crime stats for 2022?
They
We're
will be
putting
coming
together,
out
yeah.
in the
Oh,
state
okay.
of the city.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, yes, Mayor, I would request a motion to go into
So
executive.
moved for personnel matters.
Do I have a
Second.
second?
Please be advised this ends the public portion of today's meeting. Thank you very much.
The commission will move into executive session to discuss